So this here is the Xiaomi Redmi 4 Prime. It's a new mobile from them, a budget mobile with a focus on battery life thanks to its efficient Snapdragon 625 processor and large 4000 mAh battery. Right, so to get the specs out of the way, this one here is the Prime model. So Redmi 4 Prime has a Snapdragon 625 that's an octa-core that can clock up to 2.0 GHz, Adreno 506 GPU, 3GB of RAM, 32GB of internal storage, and a rather large 4000 mAh battery. So to walk you around the design of the Redmi 4 here, so on the front we have a 5-megapixel camera, earpiece. Down the bottom, the menu keys, these aren't actually backlit, which is quite disappointing. So on the back we have a 13-megapixel camera with an aperture of 2.2, just like the front camera, dual-tone LED flash, fingerprint reader, and the part along the top, that is plastic for the antenna reception, but the rest of the build is made out of a alloy metal. On the right side, volume up and down rocker, power on button, these are made out of metal. On the left side, our SIM tray. Along the bottom, a microphone, loudspeaker, and micro USB 2 port. On the top, 3.5mm headphone jack, IR transmitter, and secondary microphone for noise cancellation and video. So considering the price of around 160 US, I find the build quality is really quite good. Mostly metal, the only plastic you'll find is just on the rear, the top antenna strip. And the screen, 1080p, nice and sharp, has curved 2.5D glass as well. So looking at the screen indoors, it's a 1080p 5-inch display. It has very nice colors, good brightness, good sharpness of course, nice dense PPI, and you'll see that for me, looks perfect. I really have no complaints with the screen. It's a very nice panel. Now these photos here were taken on a Samsung Galaxy Note 4, so they are kind of punchy, saturated colors. The color reproduction is very good, and all in all, I really do like the screen. So when it comes to the ROM, I found performance to be a little slow at times. I've often noticed that when I'm just in the apps, well, it's not an apps drawer, it's all in one, you can sometimes see this. Hopefully you can pick that up. There is this stutter I've noticed now and then, and even in the settings menu and things, that there is a little bit of lag there when scrolling. So some optimization is needed because other devices that have the same chipset, the Snapdragon 625, don't experience this kind of lag. So I think Xiaomi have a lot of updates, or at least one big update to come out to optimize the UI and speed things up. So it is running Android 6.0.1, and my version that I have at the moment of MIUI is 8.0.6, which is the one for me that is stuttering a little. Now my version has 3GB of RAM, and on first use I had, I think it was around 26GB of free available space. Now if you're used to Android, you won't mind the UI, I don't think, too much. Now me personally, now I'm used to it. In the beginning when I first started using MIUI, I didn't particularly like it, and I would normally just put Nova or Apex launcher on there. Now I don't find that is the case, but you can see again there, those little bits of stutter there. So not a very smooth, fluid experience, unfortunately, which I find quite disappointing. So for those of you who have been asking and saying that, no, you've got it stuck in power saving mode, I have never enabled power saving mode. That has always been off. The other thing as well is system animations. I have left that to show the animations, and there is no performance mode. A lot of you keep saying, put it in performance mode, then you won't have those stutters, then you won't have that lag in the gaming. No, it's not there, so I can't enable that. This ROM, the current official ROM that I'm on, doesn't have that feature, and I've noticed that recently the Snapdragon mobiles coming out of China don't have that, enable that setting there, so that hopefully explains that to some people. So MIUI 8 is packed with extra little features that you don't normally see on other cheaper mobiles around this price range that normally just run stock Android. So you've got things like second space, so it's basically like running two different devices really. And then you've got dual app mode as well, so you can run two applications at the same time, or side by side, so you can run like WhatsApp with 2 different SIM cards, 2 different WhatsApp accounts, one for work, one for personal. You get the idea there. You can also tweak a lot of things with the display. For example, if you're not happy with the display's calibration, you find that it's too neutral, you prefer a warm white, then you can go along and adjust that. Or you find, I know I like a cool white more, then you can tweak that right onto cool. So there is no vibrant setting here that often I see on the higher end devices. You've only got brilliant and then the standard saturation, but I prefer standard. And to be honest, I don't really notice too much of a difference. So gaming on the Redmi 4 isn't its strongest point. I have noticed that you can get playable frame rates out of most games, but you will see a lot of lags and stutters, unfortunately. Now, other mobiles running this same chipset don't seem to suffer from this problem, so I do believe it's down to software optimization and not the hardware. If you'd like to see more gaming, check out my gaming review on the Redmi 4. There should be a little eye popping up in the top right hand corner. So the SIM tray will take either a nano SIM, which is the one at the bottom, or a micro SIM, so you can run dual SIMs there. If you want to run extra storage, if you want to insert your micro SD card you have, then you can give up that nano SIM spot, place the card in there, and then use a micro SIM. So this by far is the best thing about the Redmi 4, is the battery life. It is phenomenal, very good. It is so hard to drain the battery thanks to that Snapdragon 625 chipset it has and the very large 4000 mAh battery. So I'm going to go through quickly my use here. So what I proceeded to do was I got it to 100%, set the brightness to 50%, and try and drain it as fast as possible with some very heavy use. So I was gaming on it most of the time. You see wireless is on. I'll go back and show you the screen on time first, which is really, really good. This is the highest score I have ever seen on a mobile so far in my reviews. So 9 hours, 39 minutes of screen on time. I still have 18% left. I do believe I'll be able to get over 10 hours on this, which is just amazing. So you see, my usage here, mostly gaming, so very heavy use. Gaming normally depletes the battery really quick. So 2 hours, 3 minutes of Modern Combat 5. 1 hour, 16 minutes of Asphalt Extreme. World of Tanks, 42 minutes. YouTube, 1 hour. Clash of Clans, 30 minutes. And then I have others down here, like Mortal Kombat was about 20 minutes. Chrome as well, about 18 minutes or so. So you can see that is amazing. So this is definitely the main reason to get this mobile, is for the phenomenal battery life you can get out of this. Now, charge times of the Redmi 4 are rather slow with the stock charger. So it's only 5 volts, 2 amps, the one that they include, and it will take you around about 4.5 hours to fully charge it. Now, I'm using at the moment a Qualcomm certified quick charger, and 2 hours, 17 minutes ago I started charging it. I'm currently at 97%, and this is the only time I've actually felt the mobile ever get warm too. So to fully charge, it's around 2 hours and 30 minutes. Audio quality. I found that the 3.5mm headphone jack doesn't offer the best quality. It has what I would call like static white noise that comes through on lower volumes. Once you increase the volume, you can't really hear it as much. And the call quality seems okay, average at best. I noticed that they said that I sounded okay, but I did notice that the earpiece quality just isn't up to the same spec as other higher end mobiles. To be expected, I guess, that they used lower end parts on that. So I'm going to have a listen now to the loudspeaker, which is located right here, and compare it also to the Mi Note 2. You could hear from that it doesn't sound as good as the Mi Note 2 speaker, but I think it sounds alright considering the price of this mobile. So benchmarks and a couple of other things I wanted to point out. The first thing is
The update that I got at the time of this review was just this. That's the only one that's out there that apparently just fixes the videos looking too green. No other updates to improve optimization of the ROM to help with those stutters or lags. So you do get a lot of bloatware on first boot, but all of the stuff here I was able to remove, so it's not too bad, but you still get some Chinese characters in the dialer and other things. So wait for a global ROM to completely get rid of that. So benchmarks, it's not going to break any records here. The chipset is not focused on that. It's more about efficiency and not raw power. So there's nothing wonderful here. That's the Basemark X score. And wireless speeds, really good speeds here. Signal strength, same floor as my wireless router. And then I moved downstairs and I did notice more of a dip than I would normally see, especially on the Snapdragon 821 devices I've recently reviewed. They don't tend to have this much of a dip, but it didn't tend to affect the performance too much. Apart from the uploads, they were a little bit lower. And the GPS, it works okay, but it doesn't seem to be as good again as the flagship chips. So, I mean, that's probably understandable. This is a cheaper device. And Antutu score, so this score's a lot lower than the Redmi Note 4 or the Redmi Note 3 Pro, which gets about 88,000. This one, of course, 61. So that's it for benchmarks there.
So looking now at the stock camera application, the shutter rate is almost instantaneous in good lighting conditions. I have noticed that in low light that it will lag a little, and the viewfinder also lags. At the moment, the viewfinder is running about, I'd say about 24 frames per second. But when the light dips down, it will be choppy and run only about 10 or 15 frames per second. Also takes a lot longer to focus. So the modes we have here, standard MIUI 8 modes. Manual mode, there's only two settings we can adjust. That's white balance and the ISO, which goes all the way up to 3200. Now in video mode, all we have is time lapse. There is no slow motion mode here. And you can record up to 1080p only. If you want to record in 4K, you're going to need to use a third-party app like Open Camera or Google Camera, but the chipset does support recording in 4K and the sensor too. So let's have a look at some samples taken on the cameras. So here's some 1080p video. This is the maximum you can record with the stock application. But if you download a third-party app like Open Camera, you can record in 4K, which the chipset supports. Now, I have noticed focus breathing issues yet again on another Xiaomi phone. You just see it just happened then. So the focus pulses in and out there, struggling to get lock. And even good lighting conditions like now. See, it focuses on quite quick there to the tree. So let's have a look at the front-facing camera. So here is a video shot on the front-facing 5-megapixel camera with an f2.2 aperture. As you can see, the quality is fine. Maximum resolution, however, is only 720p. Kind of to be expected, really, for the price range. In low light, I did notice some drop frames, so it gets a little bit choppy, but in good lighting conditions, works fine, and overall, I find the quality to be quite acceptable. So that's a review. Just to recap my pros and cons, I found that the battery life is exceptional. This has the best battery life of any mobile I have tested to date. Now I found that the UI has some lag in there, and gaming, there are also a few stutters here and there, which kind of ruins the whole experience. Now the 3.5mm headphone jack also has a bit of static at low volumes that I wasn't too happy with. The camera, well, you can't expect too much in this price range. It can take an okay photo. Video quality for 1080p seems alright. The front selfie cam only shoots 720p, but again, that's kind of to be expected. The build of it is good. The screen is very nice. It's not a bad mobile phone, but I'm having a little trouble recommending this one. I do find that the Redmi Note 3 Pro is probably a better option with a more powerful Snapdragon 650 processor. So thank you so much for watching this review, and hopefully I'll see you back in the channel soon. If you haven't already, why not think about subscribing? I'll have plenty more reviews like this one up and coming. Bye for now.